First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT. You found us at postwrestling.com, whatever podcast app you are choosing to listen to. And of course,
we are live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How are we doing?
Absolutely. Hello, postmarks. And even more importantly, hello, NXT friends. And we are your NXT friends. Yes, hello. It's Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. And we're going to talk about some NXT like only we can. So hello, everybody. Maybe you're snowed in where you are. Maybe there's blizzard. Maybe you're on a beach somewhere. I don't know. But wherever you are, hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and the world's a crazy place. Planes are falling out of the sky, planes are flipping upside down, and just hope everyone's doing okay, because I don't know what's going on. You know what? I think it's going to be socially acceptable again to clap when you land after a flight in 2025. We're bringing it back because, man, did you see this upside down plane in Toronto?
Oh, it's terrifying.
Holy!
I've had quite a few people from back home message me because just being like, hey, dude, what's going on? What's happening with this? Yeah, very scary. Thankfully, it seems like no one is like critically injured or anything. But yeah, the videos and stuff just terrifying. Like we both like fly. Like I flew just a few weeks ago. Yeah. It is getting scary. Just the rate that it's been happening recently. But hopefully that's it. Hopefully no more.
You know, I don't want to be the one to say it, but ever since Trump's been in office, planes have been falling out of the sky. I don't know if there's any correlation to that. I don't want to poke the bear, but something.
You're poking the bear.
Something's not right there. Something's not right there. Maybe he just aviation was not on an important part of that list. But yes, hope you're safe wherever you are. Hello, everybody. I see the chat is here. It is Tuesday. We're going to talk about some NXT and the road to Elimination Chamber / Stand and Deliver / Roadblock. All the roads too. There's a few blocks in the way there. But if you are listening in the Toronto area and you are planning on going to some Elimination Chamber, I got to quickly remind you, fine folks out there, that you can lock in with us on March 1st, 2 p.m., right around the corner from the Sky Dome. We are having ourselves a little tailgate party. We're going to have wrestling drink specials. We're going to have the wrestling tunes bumping. Our pal Ivan Rivers is going to be singing some wrestling themed covers live. And then we're going to get right primed for the Elimination Chamber as we get a little unsanctioned at Gabby's on King Street West in Toronto. So very looking forward to this, and very looking forward to seeing any of you listeners out there who might be making their way. It's always such a fun time to have worlds collide and meet listeners and all that stuff. So if you are coming to the city, please stop on by and say hello.
Yes, Braden and I will not be held liable for anything that should happen to you in Toronto on March the 1st. You sign that waiver the moment you walk through the door at Gabby's. Right. Know your limits. But yeah, it's going to be super fun. Very much looking forward to it. It's coming up very quickly now. We're only a couple of weeks away till Elimination Chamber and the lock-in. It's going to be a great time. So come, sing some songs, drink some drinks, eat some food, chill and chat with all of us. It's going to be a great time.
Now, Davey, if you had to make a drink, the Ricky Saints drink, we'll get into it. What would that be? Just a hurricane?
It would have to be a hurricane or a hand grenade or something. Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to add that to a future menu item. But yes, very excited. And if you are, again, Toronto area, please come on by. And hey, while I'm on the Toronto topic, if you want to support local independent wrestling and the wrestling community in this city, you can check out Demand Lucha this Thursday at Parkdale Hall. February the 20th, I believe, at Parkdale Hall. It's going to be a riot as always. So definitely check out Demand Lucha. And our new friends at Northern Crown are doing a show on Sunday at Blood Brothers Brewery. You can definitely catch us there as well, because we're going to be pounding back the blood lights and watching now announced Dan the Dad, who stole the show for me WrestleMania weekend. So I'm very excited to see Dan. Unfortunately, Cheetan maybe was unable to get booked for the show, but that was the match of my WrestleMania. So very excited to see Dan the Dad added to the show. I'm loving the Toronto wrestling community, because as WWE gets big, wrestling as a whole just seems to be just booming right now.
Yeah, both two great promotions. If you're listening to us and you want to check them out, there is you can find their stuff online as well, so you can support them that way. Very much looking forward to both these shows. Demand Lucha always put on a great show. It's always a great time there. We loved the last event for Northern Crown we went to, so looking forward to supporting them again. But yeah, support local indies.
Now, we will always support indie, and I think me and you are destined to support this little indie called Elimination Chamber at the Sky Dome, because I was worried, Davey. I was worried they were going to dangle the two biggest Canadian stars over, be like, look, they're gonna wrestle, and then I was like, but will it just be like an angle? Will it just not be what I hope it would be? And then Adam Pearce, just like Ava made Javon sign the liability, he's like, look, you're not cleared. That package pile driver was just one too many for you. I can't allow you to do the match unless it's unsanctioned. So yeah, this seals the deal for me to go to this show. Sami Zayn, Kevin Steen, one-on-one, El Generico, Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. This is it. They are destined to do this forever. And us hosers are going to be losing our minds in the Sky Dome for this one. Absolutely.
I love every single match these guys have. Just when you think that maybe, maybe we've seen this too many times, they always pull out new stuff. It's always enjoyable. It's always fun to watch. Now with the kind of added stakes, I think things are now, on the main roster where they should be. They've had a bunch of matches on the main roster, but a couple were early in their career in WWE where neither were really established as a top guy. Then we had the WrestleMania one where it was kind of backwards, with Sami being the heel and Kevin being the baby face. This feels like how it should be. Two of your top stars doing the match we know they have in them. We know they're capable of. Kevin the heel, Sami the baby face, unsanctioned. It's going to be great. I kind of even want to, part of me is like, let's do something wild with this. Kick off the show with this match and literally have them fighting throughout the whole show. Sort of
through the
Roddy Piper, the Roddy Piper, was it Goldust?
The last time they were at the last time they were at the Sky Dome with WrestleMania 18, it was the hardcore title throughout the whole show was
so
Molly Holly, right?
I'd love to see them do something like that. Start off in the ring and then go fighting through the boxes, round the stadium, outside, and then come back to actually finish the match. I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what these guys do. They're both so creative. The crazy bumps both are capable of. They're great storytellers in ring. I can't wait. This has this pay-per-view sold for me.
Absolutely. This is the match that is selling me. Everything else, you know what? It's not looking like it's bad or anything like that. And I'm sure there's only going to be 4 or 5 matches because of the chamber and the time and everything like that. But this is the draw, for me, for you, for definitely a lot of locals here that are like, oh shit, now we have to go to this one if this is the match being advertised. The biggest platform here in Canada in the Sky Dome, Rogers Center, and 2 of the biggest Canadians going in the game right now. So definitely excited about this one. And I know the crowd is going to be electric for this one. And it has potential to be the best match ever to take place in the Sky Dome. There's only been a handful of wrestling events held there. Yeah. So this adds to the history. So this is pretty cool to see that. And from seeing these guys in legit bingo halls and, veteran halls and all these old, small gyms, I've watched both these guys wrestle in gyms before, and here they are wrestling at the Sky Dome. Like, how incredible is that? So us Canadians, support Canada, support Canadian, and I'm going to be doing that, even though it's a WWE ticket. I'm going to definitely get into this match. This is the one for me. Did you happen to catch Raw? Did you see like what happened?
I did.
With him?
Yeah. So we have the complete lineup now for both Elimination Chamber matches with Roxanne Perez, our girl, qualifying yesterday, beating Raquel Rodriguez. It feels like they're sort of, not really treating Roxanne as the full heel like her NXT character. They're kind of playing with it a little bit at the moment. It was interesting that Rox wasn't on NXT this week. I wonder if she will have a kind of final match or moment on NXT before fully moving up. But obviously her being an Elimination Chamber, it is, she has graduated now. But thought she looked good on the show. So that's being added to the match. So we now have Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez for the women's chamber match, as well as Seth Rollins qualifying by beating Finn Balor, some would say twice, last night in a pretty good match, I thought, actually. Finn doesn't really do it that much for me anymore, but I thought they both had a pretty good match at the end of Raw, barring that kick out that didn't happen. But yeah, now we have it. It's Cena, Punk, Drew, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins for the men's chamber, which sounds pretty stacked to me.
One of those is not like the other in that match, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, why is CM Punk in the chamber? He should just get a title match. No, Logan Paul. You know what? He's fun to hate. So I actually think this is a pretty stacked. This is like Cena taking on all his evil exes, as people have put. So like, yeah, and Logan Paul and Priest, I guess. But this looks pretty stacked, I'd say, for at least chamber matches, and like clearly the main event. Now, last time John Cena's in Toronto, but is Cena winning this thing? Because I think plans change. I don't think we're getting a triple threat for WrestleMania. I think CM Punk should win the chamber, and we're going to Cody versus CM Punk. Maybe something to do with that favor being cashed in on how maybe he helps. Maybe Roman attacks Seth in the chamber because he wants revenge from the last thing, therefore helping Punk. That's the favor, and Punk wins. We get Punk Cody. I'm not quite sure. Then Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania. Another
Roman
match.
v. Seth. And what do you do? Logan Paul versus Cena?
Logan Paul versus John Cena at WrestleMania. Yeah.
It's interesting. Similar to last year, where we can kind of see the players and the pieces, but not quite sure how they're going to end up. I like that. Look, they don't need to sell tickets for this event. WrestleMania is going to be sold itself. And I thought so much of the fun with last year's show, and a lot of it was because plans were changing as and when they happened, kind of in real time. But that, I thought that made the TV so interesting. Like, there are so many different ways you could go. We know Gunther and Jey Uso are confirmed now for their match. The rest is really up in the air. So, I kind of like that. I like guessing. I like theorizing what matches we're going to get. Punk and Cody sounds huge. That sounds great. Do you really want... You do need something big for Cena's last WrestleMania. And I don't know if Logan Paul's that.
Drew McIntyre?
It's kind of... I feel this year there's a lot of kind of, loose pieces. It's, we could
Sami
just put them in a
Zayn.
three-way. Sami Zayn is another one. Io is another one. There's all these people where you're like, if you do that match, you can't do that match. Or maybe you put them in a match together. Like... if we're going to Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, which was kind of set up at the Rumble, and obviously they're both in this chamber match. They're both on SmackDown now. Look, I like Priest. He was world champion in the past year. But Drew had like such a great year with that feud with Punk that you feel that is that big enough for him? Like there's a lot of different things. And I think it's a great problem that WWE has right now is they've created all these stars, and what are we going to do with them? Like it's a good predicament to be in, I think. But I'm always excited, and I'm with you. Like that favor is looming. And could it be
that
Cody?
It's going to be, hey, Seth's in the chamber and I need him taken out. And like, hey, Roman should be pissed. And Roman appearing would get a very big pop out of Toronto in the Dome. So I'm assuming that's what happens. And I do think we're going to go to Cody versus Punk. Just the triple threat never really sounded that exciting. It kind of sounded like we're just missing a few pieces with The Rock. But now we're not. If we just go Cody Punk, everything else kind of is Seth Roman definitely makes sense, right? So there's a few things. It's just Cena. Is that Logan Paul and Sami Zayn? Where does that leave him? Drew McIntyre or Priest or the ladder match or IC or there's a few loose ends.
Sammy's definitely the one, unless you end up doing some sort of triple threat with Randy involved, Randy, Kevin, Sammy, which again feels lesser than. But yeah, I'm still very, very curious to see what happens.
Randy could show up at the chamber, right, to help.
I think so.
Sammy and attack Kevin. So maybe we won't get too big returns, but at the same time, I don't know. It's WrestleMania time. So.
And then I know SmackDown's in New Orleans this Friday. I wonder if we'll be getting an announcement for next year's WrestleMania.
Ooh, very interesting. Yes, sounds very exciting. The FOMO will kick in that we're missing WrestleMania this year, but until people start posting their ticket prices and what they've spent and the drink costs at the venue itself is always what.
I'm not going to have too much FOMO about a Vegas casino. I will be getting FOMO next year if I see photos of people holding hand grenades and I'm back here in Canada. So I think if that is confirmed, if that is next year's, that is definitely something I would like to do.
Excellent stuff. Very excited with all the different stuff, especially with Chamber coming to town, playing the Dome. Like that's crazy for this city and for WWE returning to Canada. So yes, very excited about that. We will talk about NXT in just a second, but I mentioned we have live events that you can join us for in the city, but we also have a podcast called Poisonrana. Search that in your podcast app or any social media, including Instagram and etc. And follow us. Go to Poisonrana.ca for links of everything else that we do, because we tend to go live every Sunday with Poisonrana Live as we chat all about all the other wrestling. So I'm sure we'll get into some WrestleMania plans, some previews for Elimination Chamber, plus AEW Dynamite, Collision, and everything else going on in the world of wrestling. So much going on. So join us. Are we going to be live this Sunday, 2 p.m.?
Yes.
Excellent. Yes. Well, we're gonna try to make it to Northern Crown, but I think we could still make it if we go live at 2.
If we need to shift earlier, we'll shift earlier, and we'll let you know on our socials. We don't have to watch kind of 6 hours worth of wrestling.
This is true. We just dropped
before this.
I mean, you're probably listening to this. You probably listened to our Vengeance Day where we also talked about Grand Slam and stuff. But we will be going live again this Sunday, chatting about some A-dubs and everything else. However, we have a crazy week on our Patreon. It is a big week. For $5, it's all we ask to become a friend. You get a whole month's access. Patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5, guys. $5. And you get access to The Champ Is Here, episode 6, where we were joined by Will Cooling, Rich Fan, to talk all about John Cena's 6th championship reign. Yes, we've been going through every John Cena WWE championship win, reign, and so much more. It's been an insane ride. Way too much John Cena. We just reviewed the Rumble 02. We just did a review of Best of the Best. That was an interesting show that we did. And we have some crazy shows. Today, I recorded a show with John Pollock from Post Wrestling and Jordan Goodman from the Detox podcast to talk all about Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary. This is one of the longest shows I have ever done, and it was one of the best. Me, John, and Jordan had so much fun going through not only the 50th anniversary special that just aired, but the music special that also aired at Radio City in New York. Plus, we go through our top 5 all-time favorite players, sketches, guest hosts, and so much more. So if you are an SNL fan, this is a huge podcast for you where we had so much fun. If you want to hear myself, Pollock, and Jordan go really nerdy, but not about wrestling, this is definitely for you SNL heads out there. But if that's not enough, Davey, this next show is quite a task. This is a bit of a daunting task. I'm kind of scared about this. So
I was going to say you just said you thought the SNL might have been the longest podcast you've ever done.
How about we top that? Okay, let's go NWA pod lengths here. We have a thing on our Patreon where if you're the highest tier, a family member, world champ, you get to pick stuff, and then we have you on and we chat about whatever you picked and stuff like that. So Mahmoud, our family member, has selected The Godfather Part 2. That's right. Leave the podcast. No, wait. Take the podcast. Leave the cannoli. I said that wrong. We've reviewed The Godfather a few years ago, but now it's time to review The Godfather Part 2. But get this. Are you ready for this? The kicker is both Davie and I have never seen this film. I know we're being shamed right now. I can hear all of your judgment right now, but we're going to watch it and we're going to talk about it.
It's one of these films that I watched part 1 in the cinema, and it's kind of been like part 2. I've kind of been waiting to do.
I've avoided it.
It's a 3-hour, 22-minute long film. And I want to make sure I'm in the right frame of mind. I've put it off.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing a podcast about it tomorrow. So
I'm a little nervous.
I
don't get nervous about podcasts, but this one is like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want, like, am I overhyping it? Because everyone says it's like the GOAT. Like, I know I'm going to love it. I really love the first one. I love all mafia movies. So we're really going to try our best. So I'm going to get some Campari. I'm going to have some ziti and cannolis, and I'm going to get ready to watch The Godfather Part 2 tomorrow. So this is an exciting one. So you'll get all these shows. That's pennies per podcast. We have so many wrestling reviews. We just did a retro Was Next. We're on the road to the first ever takeover, which is coming soon in our Was Next series. So tons and tons of shows. Check them out. If you've never given us a shot, it's literally $5 and you get a whole month's access to listen to all the shows. It connects on your RSS feed. It's super simple, and we'd love feedback for some shows because we've got some great feedback already for Was Next, as always, but the SNL show that just dropped, and a lot of people are sending in love for The Champ is Here. So respect out there. And if you haven't checked it out, what are you waiting for? What are you
absolutely
fucking waiting for?
Make sure if you don't want to take the plunge yet, that's fine. Subscribe to our free feed. Just search Poison Rana wherever you get your podcasts. We have our good friend John Cena every Thursday dropping Shot in the Dark, which is everything you may have missed in the world of pro wrestling in 15 minutes or less, as well as our flagship show, Poison Rana Live, every Sunday, where we talk about everything else in the world of wrestling outside of NXT. We'll be talking about AEW Dynamite. We'll be talking about SmackDown from Friday. And I just watched episode 1 of Let's Fucking Go. So I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about that, about BJ Braden, not this one, the other BJ Braden, and so much more. So yeah, looking forward to diving into that show. And we've got some free stuff like from way back. If you want to check out some of the movie reviews we've thrown up there, some best match evers are on that free feed as a little taster for what our Patreon offers.
Absolutely. Appreciate all the love out there. Again, Poisonrana.ca for all the links that we have. Give us a follow and check us out because we like to have fun and talk about wrestling, movies, and all sorts of fun stuff. I do have a big gripe. I told you I got my girlfriend put me on The White Lotus. I'm not sure if you've watched this yet. Season 3 launched on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. They changed the theme song, David.
Oh.
What? Why? So, like, can someone give me answers to this? Because I know I'm not alone.
Is it Death Rebel?
They just changed it completely. It's like the main riff was used for the first 2 seasons. It's a banger. I have the club remix on my spot.
It's funny.
Banger.
I know you haven't seen it yet, and so I won't spoil anything.
Not The Godfather, too, please.
No, there is a moment in LFG when they're talking about Booker T, and it's like showing Booker T highlights, and I swear it sounds like Def Rebel have done Booker T's theme. It like sounds kind of like Booker T's theme, but it isn't. I'm like, just use his theme. Just use his theme. Yes. Very odd, but yeah. Before we go into NXT, a couple of other things. First of all, we have a super chat from Jake from the Windy City.
Oh, no.
Yes, Super chats are welcome if you are in the YouTube room. Greatly appreciated. Jake says, "Hi boys, crazy question. Now that WWE plays the anthem at PLEs, likely or unlikely, will Toronto boo the Star Spangled Banner at Elimination Chamber?" I will say if they do it, very likely. However, I don't think they'll play the US national anthem.
I think they will play the national anthem.
Oh, then it's getting booed.
Yeah,
very likely.
I mean, like, yeah, he's referring to a lot of the hockey games the last few weeks. I think we talked about on Sunday, but like, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with booing another country, even if it's a thing. But what, like, we had people do that before all this stuff, anyways. But like, you know what? I don't care what a border is just a line on a piece of paper someone made up. So you're all brothers and sisters and family out there. No one can tell me differently. We don't need this tribalism of, oh, yes, boo these Americans. I mean, you guys are like, kind of fucking our shit up right now, but doesn't mean, we hate you. We don't hate you, just we hate the man, we hate the system.
So yeah, it's getting booed.
Yeah, we're gonna boo the fuck now.
One other thing, it was announced today that there are going to be WWE ID Championships.
Oh, not another championship. How many championships does this company need? Oh my God.
I mean, they're all behind Paul right there. Look. But yes, WWE ID Championships that are going to be kind of defended across the indies. There's going to be a tournament with all the people that have been named so far. It does sound very familiar. What are your thoughts, Braden?
What do you mean familiar? What do you mean by that? You mean WWE UK? Is that what or whatever the hell that was supposed to be? Or
I mean, there were tournament matches on indie shows before the like main show. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I was half joking, but I know people love to riff, including myself, that there's just way too many titles in wrestling right now. Like, WWE aside, there's so many different ones, but this is like adding something. If this leads to like these guys can't or women can't lose these titles or lose matches, like, are we going to go towards that? Because that did kind of affect stuff in the like British Brit Res scene. So like, I hope that kind of doesn't happen here. But at the same time, as we said when this whole ID thing happened, what I am in support of is making sure these wrestlers are getting paid and being supported and don't have to live in their car and can afford meals and everything. So at the same time, if this leads to like good things for up and coming wrestlers, then I'm all for it. So let it play out. But, history does look like it will repeat itself.
It depends how it goes, right? I mean, obviously, from a promotional point of view, something like this is going to help the indies a lot because people are going to want to see, like, just having the WWE name attached to something is going to draw attention from fans wanting to go and see it. Oh, it's a WWE championship of some sort being defended.
Exactly.
It's whether we do fall into the same traps that happened last time with the NXT UK, and I think we've had similar kind of things with like when the Cruiserweight Classic was a thing and that sort of thing. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. We have seen this story before, but new regime. We're seeing on just NXT alone the kind of open borders, if you will, with things like TNA. So I think this new regime are way more willing to kind of work with other companies and stuff. So we will see. But yeah, I think for the short term, it's going to help a lot of these promotions for sure.
What's the fool me once, can't get fooled again? That's definitely hoping it's not like that. But again, hopefully this is something that's what does Triple H like to say? Best for business. That's what this hopefully leads to. I didn't get to check out. I saw some of the clips. I saw more of BJ Ray on LFG and having. So this is different from the Evolve title that's also coming out, right? Like, is this the same title? I think this is something different.
So the WWID,
that's a different title.
This is separate from LFG. So LFG is it's Tough Enough meets The Voice, and like you've got your judges who are like competing as well. The winner gets an NXT contract, but these are all people already signed, already in the PC.
Right.
Then Evolve is something else,
completely different.
Their own. I think I guess it's Level Up. It's like NXT to NXT, which will have a championship. And then the WWE ID Championship will be defended solely on the indies.
I'll jump ahead because it played a commercial during NXT. And like it showed The Undertaker explaining to these young kids the the punches of yay and boo, and he's like, that's when you know you got. I was like, oh my god, stop, Mark, please. I know what this is messing my brain up. Look, I love your podcast, Mark, but I can't hear you talking like this. Kayfabe is dead, bro. Hold it. The Undertaker on camera on a WWE commercial on a show explaining like breaking cape, like right there. I know I'm a fan of he's got so many stories. So I actually love watching so many clips of pods of him and the BSK guys and stuff. But this clip like rocked me as just like the young wrestling kid fan of me. I was like, whoa, Undertaker, what are you exposing the business right here? Wow, they did that right here on TV. I'm not like. I guess I hated it. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I kind of want to watch the show.
Different times.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't talk to him about video games.
Yes.
Does he bring out knives and guns on this show?
No, but he does bring up wanting to bring back some old school stuff. So it was implied.
Old school stuff. Yeah. Fights, strip clubs. Yeah, I'm down. I love hearing his stories though, so I can't lie. I do find them very amusing because he was in the game for so long. He like mixed up with so many different people, and he never did this until the last few years. So I do kind of selfishly love it. Anyways, okay, now we can talk about what we're here to talk about, and that's some NXT as the Saints. Oh, the Saints, they come marching in.
Let's do it. NXT February 18th, 2025. Live from the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida. And we open up with the NXT champion, Femi, who retained his title at the weekend against A-Town Down Under and got attacked by the 4 mystery men. And he comes out and says, those 4 idiots made a big mistake. They just didn't finish the job. And he says, they gave their best shot, and yet I stand here unscathed. So come out and try and finish what you started. And then the lights go out. We get some dramatic music playing. And then it kicks into a familiar theme. Those who watch TNA will know as Moose. Comes out. Yes. It's not the mystery attackers, but Moose.
Moose versus the very similar chant there in the entranceway. Yes, Moose making his NXT debut here, crossing we don't do the forbidden door here. What is it? The window, the transfer window, the world's window, something like that. Moose is here in NXT. At one point, I remember when Moose was elsewhere, just coming up, I think, in Ring of Honor, and his song was Moose. And then you had Bull Dempsey in NXT, and his entrance would be Bull. So one time I had mixed them very seamlessly together, where it's Bull Moose or Moose Bull. Very nice. But Moose is here to shock the world in what apparently must be some very expensive shoes, because he's still got the tag on them. Yeah. I've been told that's what the kids do these days. Maybe he wants to return them tomorrow after being on TV. Maybe that's the reason why. But yes, this is a big face-to-face. Moose, the X Division champion, and Femi, the NXT champion. Some big boys here face-to-face. So Moose says, Oba, I just burst the bubble you've been living in because I'm the one man you can't roll over. And Oba says, that place where you are the man, that's your bubble. But here I am inevitable. Moose says, this has to happen. Femi versus Moose. And Oba just says, oh, don't worry, it will. So that's it, this face-to-face. Where do you see this match happening? I'm assuming Roadblock, most likely. Yeah, I can't imagine this would be like your stand and deliver or WrestleMania weekend quite style thing. But, you know, as far back as when they started doing this TNA crossover, before they even signed this agreement deal. That was seemed to be a deal. Yeah, we were kind of assuming we were going towards a Worlds Collide type show, but then it seemed to disassociate and the characters kind of disappeared for a little bit. So now with this new deal and everything, maybe that is something that happens. So maybe Roadblock is kind of a TNA crossover show. I mean, we'll get ahead that this won't be the only TNA crossover that is announced for next week. Moose will be wrestling next week, and so will some others, as we'll get into. So it looks like we're going full TNA crossover mode right now. at least leading up to like this Roadblock special, which, you know, is in March. So Stand and Deliver could still have some bleed over. And I wouldn't necessarily rule it out to say that, you know, some of the TNA wrestlers could be appearing on that show.
I think it's a good idea for this Roadblock show to have it more of a Worlds Collide kind of deal. You can have a story built in there where these TNA wrestlers want to win these titles because Stand and Deliver is the biggest show that they can possibly be on of the year. You know, so it's a proverbial roadblock for your NXT talent, but also it's TNA is that roadblock who are trying to take those positions maybe. I know Moose is quite divisive as a wrestler. I personally quite like him. I think as far as big men go, he's pretty athletic. He does some cool stuff. It's from what I've seen of this X Division run, it's been kind of fun, him kind of mixing it up with your, you know, speedballs of the world and that kind of thing. And we've seen Oba in a few pretty fun meat matches. So I'd be disappointed if this was the Stand and Deliver match, because I think that should be reserved for NXT and who you're trying to crown as the next guy or whatever. But for a Roadblock match, I'm about it. And I think obviously, like, you look at the two guys, this is from the TNA crossover, this guy makes the most sense to go with Oba Femi.
You know, I always watched this guy through the years, and like I always thought he was improving and stuff. But when I've watched his stuff in TNA, it doesn't necessarily like jump out the screen at me. But when you think of this match and then you see the visual of them standing side by side, like I think they could bring the best out of each other potentially. Like Moose, obviously way more of a vet than Oba Femi after all these years. Like I feel like this is still an interesting match, and it's a match that, as soon as people were like, oh, wait a second, like Moose is a big kind of agile guy, and then we have NXT who has Oba, it's like, that's kind of a little bit of a dream match. I don't want to throw that word out, but like their styles are very similar. So like it does kind of make sense. But I also hope this is not like Stand and Deliver. I think this is just like a roadblock. And like, I'm not up to date, but like I had to double take. I'm like, did they mean to call him X Division champion or world title? And then I realized, oh, he is X Division champion.
Yeah.
There's no limits. So, I mean, that's definitely why. But what is he going to exercise option X or whatever? What is the exorcist? What is the thing? You cash it in, you get a title shot.
Cash it in,
they still do that, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he's looking forward to doing that. And like, even if he loses to Oba or whatever, like fine. But like pretty cool that he's here.
Yeah. And we'll see some more of him throughout the night. We see Jordynne Grace arrive in NXT. She's making her official NXT debut tonight. And then we see Eddy Thorpe in Ava's office. And he says, look, I beat Trick Williams fair and square, so I want to discuss what's next. And Ava's like, well, you know, Eddy, we have given you lots of opportunities before. And Eddy's about to start whining about it when Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors show up, and they're going, hey, Ava, we're throwing a party tonight. Do you want to come? And she's like, I'm kind of booking a show right now, boys. And Eddy Thorpe just calls them idiots. He's like, what are you doing? Inviting the GM to a party? And they're like, oh, actually, we're pleased we ran into you because we'd like some music for this party, and we know you're a bit of a DJ. And Eddy just shuts them down and says, no, there's no party. Chase U is dead. Mr. Chase ran that thing to the ground. And they're like, oh, yeah? Well, I think Mr. Chase could kick your ass. And this leads to a match where Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon have set up a match tonight for Andre Chase taking on Eddy Thorpe.
This is definitely, I think we were saying old school, where it's like, hey, we're throwing a party, we're throwing a kegger, you know? Hey, we're going streaking. I imagine that comes later in a few weeks. But this is the renegade, like, college fraternity that just won't let it go that Chase U is dead. So I think we will see a reunion. But I liked the callback that they're like, hey, you, Eddy, you're a DJ. We've seen you. You're not very good, but we've seen you in very awkward camera shots of you DJing. Not really at an actual DJ event, but
they're like, we were thinking about playing some cards as well. Any idea where that poker player went?
Yeah, we're looking to do all the fun things that we do in NXT, but I like them bringing that up, like throwing the little bit of history. And these guys look pretty ridiculous. They have Kale Dixon, just That's your that's your NXT name. All right, that's your NXT. I'm gonna end up loving this guy. I already know it. So instead of just shitting on them, I already love these guys.
No, you know what? As far as we haven't seen them in ring on NXT yet. I'm sure they've done Level Up and stuff like that. But I think they come across very well in these silly backstage segments. I mean, NXT are full of these segments, but I think Kale Dixon especially seems quite smooth, like doesn't seem very like wooden in these things or whatever, which you can get some awful acting on this show. And don't think they're too bad, but as always, we'll see how it translates to the ring.
One of them's Finley's kid, right? Uriah?
Yes, yeah.
Like that's pretty cool. So I assume he's got the wrestling gene in his blood. He'll do some sick wrestling. He'll use the ring skirt. You just know it. He'll definitely, that's something he'll use. You know what? Maybe I like Kale Dixon because he reminds me of like mid 2000s. Kale, that too. Definitely not. Like I think it sounds like a mid card name, like from the 2000s, and it's a throwback. It just sounds like he's in some tag team. They look like they're from like Florida Georgia Line or something. I don't know. I like these guys so far. I like it.
So we go to our next match. It is the first match of the evening. It's a number 1 contenders match for the women's North American title. Karmen Petrovic taking on Jaida Parker and Kelani Jordynne. And things kick off very fast, just all three going at it. Kelani hits an Asai moonsault to the floor, which takes out both women. After the break, Kelani's in control. She has Karmen draped across the ropes where she hits a spinning leg drop. And Kelani starts selling the knee after hitting this move for quite a bit of this match. She then hits... Big Show used to do this move, right? What did he call it? It was like the final cut or something, but with the leg.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is Melina. This is her move.
Okay,
Melina's finisher. Yeah, the reverse DDT splits. Yeah, it's nice.
Yes. And then Jaida hangs Kelani in the Tree of Woe and just does this nasty chop to the stomach. There's a fallaway slam to Karmen, but Kelani breaks up the pin with a frog splash. Karmen then hits a Rana to Jaida on the top as Kelani goes for the pin, but Jaida breaks it up. Jaida then hits Hypnotic to Kelani, sending her out the ring. Hits her draping butt attack to Karmen, and then Kelani goes up to the top, but Ashanti pulls Kelani out of the ring, which leaves a superplex in there from Jaida. Hits the draping bum attack to Kelani, and this is where, as Jada's doing her like pump kick pose taunt thing, Ashanti pulls Kelani out the ring, which rolls Petrovic back into the ring to take advantage of the move and pins Kelani Jordynne. So yes, Ashanti manipulating things here, pulling Karmen out to save her, and then rolling her back in. Right in the nick of time to pick up the pin. So Karmen Petrovic is your winner.
Yeah, I mean, as a man should, he's there to support his woman, right? He's going to help her in any way he possibly can. I thought this was a pretty creative finish, considering Jaida is still doing the high step as the pin happens, and then she turns around like, "What the fuck did you just do?" And then absolutely it like attacks her, like, "What the? How dare you?" So I like this like creative way that Karmen and Ashanti aren't heels, but they're like baby faces that are kind of like he kind of cheated, but at the same time, like Kelani and Jaida have their own beef going on that it's kind of like, hey, we might as well sneak this away while they're just busy with themselves. So I thought there was some cool stuff in this. Jaida Parker continues to impress. The inverted reverse suplexes that she hits are very, very nice. They're coming along very well. I think did she call that the teardrop butt attack thing?
That's
in
right,
the corner, I think so. And then the hypnotic as well. Like I still think that like she could hit some, like considering she hits pretty cool moves, there's still something out there that's not just a butt attack that maybe like could be a more interesting like finisher or something. But I think she's like really coming along, and same thing with Kelani and Karmen. Like all three of these are, every time we see them on TV, keep getting better and better. I love Jada's Scott Hall drip gear that she had on, and Kalani's hair was all like super poofy today. It looked great, but I thought like a pretty solid opening three-way. And again, the finish was creative. That I kind of like that they're tweening with everyone hates to hate on the romantic couple. Like, these lovebirds, fuck them. So them kind of cheating to win, I'm kind of want to see where it goes. I'd like to kind of see them go full heel with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. I thought pretty kind of non-stop with the action. And I like Karmen winning this because I think out of the three, all three of these women are great. Like we keep seeing improvements every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Karmen's maybe slightly behind the other two, I'd say at this point. And I think actually giving her a match against someone like Stephanie Vaquer is only going to improve her. And, you know, the stuff with Ashanti, it's helping her character-wise, whereas I think a Jaida, like, she's got enough, like, sass and stuff about her where she doesn't really need that. So I like that they're kind of having Karmen as a little bit of a project at the moment to kind of get her up to the level of the other two. But, yeah, I thought fun match and, yeah, creative finish.
And then I had a riot after the match because this is the real story here.
Yeah, so, I mean, we had a different viewing experience being the Netflix international feed here because we have, after the pin, Jaida attacks Karmen, then Kelani takes out Jaida. They're all brawling to the back when Fatal Influence come out and start to attack Karmen. And Ashanti, you say he'd do anything for his girl. He's not doing a whole lot here.
Yeah.
These three women are beating her up. And he's
like,
going,
no, stop.
Nope,
stop,
can't touch
please.
you, can't touch you. Help, help, help. It did make him look a bit of a fool. Yes, you don't need to punch these women in the face, but you could maybe restrain them from 3-on-1 attacking your missus here.
I gasped. I was dying. I'm like, bro, like, at least get in front of them. Like, you're not doing anything to help them. Like, there's just three women beating down on your girl, and he's just like, I can't touch you. I can't attack you. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can, dude. Like, like they're attacking her. I'm pretty sure you can like help defend her at least. Like, he's just standing there. I think
it's like he needed to be taken out or something because this just looked so ridiculous. Him stood in the ring going, help, help. It's like, dude, maybe you've got some muscle behind. You can hold these women back.
I would like to think maybe a cue was missed or something because he's standing around for quite a while and then he like takes his jacket off and then he like tries to get in there and then he gets smacked with the chair from JC Jane and he's selling it as if he got shot. So it's like, okay, maybe that should have happened like right away because if you were Karmen, let's look like ladies, if this was you and your man is just standing by while you're getting stomped the fuck out, like what?
Yeah, it's like I could forgive the you were once texting Nikita Lyons, but you watched me get attacked. By
I was getting stomped. They were whooping feet, and like you didn't do shit. So this is a wrinkle into the storyline.
Yeah, maybe
because he's not he's not the greatest boyfriend that we all thought he was going to be for Karmen. So the plot thickens maybe, but
he's like, I did enough today. You got your match. Like,
so this was during the commercial break.
So yeah, it started off just before the commercial break. Then we go to commercial as then what is it? It's Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer run out for the save, and then so they're all beating them up. Karmen's now disappeared, and then when we come back from commercials, and I wonder how this played out on the CW because you go to commercial as Karmen's being beaten up, and then you come back with Giulia and Vaquer getting beaten up by Fatal Influence when Jordynne Grace runs out for the save, evens the odds. Jordynne grabs the mic and she says, I came to NXT to be a part of the best women's division in wrestling, and I don't want to wait a second. You three want to fight? Well, so do we. So you three versus us tonight.
Yes. So that match is official. It will be our main event. Jordynne Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, Giulia taking on Fatal Influence. Yeah, pretty like right away jumping into action here. Jordynne Grace, like love to see it. She comes across like a solid character, solid on the mic already. She comes in like the complete package. Like I keep seeing the memes that she's been posting, people calling her jacked Sabrina Carpenter, and now I can't unsee it. Like now I'm like, I kind of see it. Yeah. But like so far, like very excited to see where we go. Like we'll see the match later tonight, but maybe some foreshadowing for Stand and Deliver weekend.
And the chat's letting us know that on the CW, this was all happening in picture-in-picture. So you could at least see what was going on.
Also, someone corrected me that it was option C in TNA, not option X. Okay. That's probably something completely different, maybe. Ultimate X, Destination X, something like that.
So we then see backstage Rizzo and the family. She asks Stacks if he's ready for his match against Shawn Spears tonight. And Stacks is like, of course I'm ready. Luca Crucifino asks if he's heard from Tony. None of them have heard from Tony D'Angelo since being beaten up last week. And Stacks just says he's ready to take care of business. So Stacks continuing to kind of step up in the leadership role in Tony's absence.
As we know he can. He's big bro Stacks. We like Stacks here.
And we go to our next match. It's the Meta Girls of Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend taking on ZARIA and Sol Ruca.
Oh, your favorite tag team.
My favorite tag team.
So we still don't have I still can't come up with a clever enough name for these two, like ZARIA, Soul, Snatcher, because I don't know enough about ZARIA other than she's supposed to be this monster, but yet we see yet again she was skateboarding, playing volleyball. They look like they were having a fun time on the weekend.
Yeah, the ice cream skater monsters. Here we go. Yeah.
You know what? I don't have as big of a problem as you do about having this like monster hanging out with this like surfer chick, but
can you imagine the Undertaker eating ice cream?
But like, look at her wearing the face paint in public. Yeah. That's what puts it over the end for me. That's what does it for me. I can accept that, you know, wrestlers eat ice cream. You know, hey, maybe mean people eat ice cream. I don't know, but like. It's seeing like I know it's Florida, but like you look ridiculous if you're out at a beach dressed like that. So like with your face paint. So like there's definitely like we can't decide if she is this person or if she is like the friendly, happy-go-lucky tag partner. So just because you hate it, I think it makes me like it a whole lot more. So you know what? This better be tag team of the year 2025, these two. They're going all the way, longer than Y2AJ. They've already been together now longer. So they didn't break up here. Spoilers. We're going forward with them. They're the best.
Carol in the chat is suggesting Zaruka.
Zaruka. I like it. I like
Zaruka,
it.
Zaruka.
Zaruka. Yeah. Okay. That's a good, starting point.
So let's go to the match. Sol hits this awesome looking backflip into like a seated senton pin attempt.
Never seen that before. What was that?
Really interesting. Really good.
Crazy.
ZARIA and Lash then have a face-to-face as the two powerhouses of the match. Ruca hits a head scissors, taking Legend to the outside. And then Jakara follows up with a suicide dive, taking them out on the floor. After the break, ZARIA comes in with some pump kicks. She's hitting running splashes into each corner. Lash Legend goes for a running splash, which ZARIA sidesteps, so she hits her own partner in Jakara, follows up with a spear to Lash Legend, and then there's the super kick German suplex combo from Sol Ruca and ZARIA to Jakara. Lash then super kicks ZARIA on top of Sol to break up the pin, and then Sol jumps off the top, and Lash catches her, swings around into the like Argentine backbreaker position, but Sol counters this into an arm drag. Jakara comes in hitting a DDT. It's like the Gargano kick off one partner and swing around into a tornado DDT, which looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then ZARIA and Lash both pump kick each other at the same time, knocking each other down. They get back up. They're delivering headbutts to each other. ZARIA powers Lash up for the F5, but Lash slips out, makes the tag to Jakara, but then ZARIA just launches Jakara at Lash, which knocks Legend out of the ring. ZARIA then hits the spear to Jakara, hits the F5, throwing up halfway across the ring, and then tags in Sol, who hits the Soul Snatcher for the win.
Yeah, like they really picked up it at the later half of this match. Like it was just chaos. Like the shout out Jakara with the Johnny Gargano special there, the tornado DDT off one person while kicking the other person in the face there. That was very impressive. But Sol Ruca always looking like flashy in the ring with some things you've never seen before. And then like ZARIA crushing Lash with a spear, crushing Jakara with that spear as well, and that F5 like throwing there. I think we said it on. That's the name. We said it on Saturday, Sunday. We might as well just continue. The Soul Crushers. That's their name. That's definitely it. Because this woman, like, I know she was skateboarding and doing handstands at the beach, but like when she's in the ring, she's really fun to watch. As so far, I know like we've got Stephanie, Giulia, Jordynne Grace, and all these other people that are cooking and firing off, and like ZARIA has been put in this position in the tag team, and so Ruca's kind of like been kind of on the cooler here as well, like with the push that she was getting. But at the same time, like this is a really fun match, and I think they worked really well together. So I was joking that like, hey, this team is my favorite team, but like I really liked them together. So Soul Crusher for life, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like the action's fun. It's the vignettes aside, like yeah, Soul and ZARIA are a pretty fun team to watch. It's the main issue, and I sound like a broken record. There's nothing for this division to fight for. There's no tag titles in NXT. I did see in our Poisonrana chat earlier that Magan suggested maybe because there are TNA women's tag championships,
right?
And maybe that's something you could do, and maybe have them on loan for a little bit to NXT. And if we are doing a sort of TNA versus NXT thing for Roadblock, that's certainly something you could do. And at least it has something for these women to actually fight for. Because, I just feel like, unless that obviously the main roster is the goal, it's why would you team up with anyone? What's the point? Why do you want to be in a tag team in NXT in the women's division? That side, I thought a pretty fun match. I think like Jakara and Lash just keep improving. Still there are a couple of like hairy moments from Jakara in this. The suicide dive didn't look particularly clean, but she's doing so much more than she used to in these tags. And I think they're gelling together quite nicely. I'd like to see them just move up at some point because they've been on Raw and SmackDown a couple of times now.
Like they've impressed too. I know that Tope, it was ZARIA and Soul, I think, who moved closer to like catch her there. So good on them. But I thought she looked good in all the other stuff, including selling some of those moves. Like ZARIA just destroyed them, crushing them, and then threw her, like you said, halfway across. That was a crazy F5, like really crazy, like pretty cool. You don't like. I know Brock is like disappeared and that move kind of is gone. So it's a great time for someone else to pick it up in WWE. And I think she does it pretty well. So I'm in on this team right now, but I understand it's like, there's no title. So eventually the levy here might have to break, and maybe Soul. We still do eventually get ZARIA just crushing Soul at one point. But for right now, we'll be Soul Crushers.
We see Wesley and Tyson and Tyreek being interviewed. And Wes just says, look, NXT is unpredictable. Anything can happen here. And the unpredictability falls right into our hands. And this is where, for now, for the sake of the show, Ricky Starks walks in. And the unnamed Ricky Starks walks in. And the Sarah Schreiber just goes, oh, wait, I need to talk to this guy.
Oh, and big league in him. Is this a joke on what recently happened? So, like just a few weeks ago at the Grammys, this like on-air journalism interviewer, this woman was interviewing this like rapper, singer, producer, Babyface, and she's mid-interview with him, and Chapel Roan walks by. So mid-interview, she interrupts him from answering her question and goes, Chapel, and he's like, don't do that. And she's like, oh, sorry, and like completely ditches the interview to go get Chapel Roan. And apparently, like, she's been let go from this like website or whatever. Like, it was pretty disrespectful.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
So that was like exactly what they did here. Like, they did the exact same thing where she's like, "Oh, never mind. She's gonna like Lil Bro and then just like walk straight past to the bigger story being Ricky Stark." So I thought that was a nice touch of whoever came up with that. Clearly in the know.
Yeah. So she asked about the contract, and he says it's good to hear those words, WWE NXT contract. And I'm ready to go out there and answer some questions. And then says, hey, nice jacket, as he's all about the fashion, this Ricky guy.
Oh, yeah. I know firsthand at American Dream Mall when we were at this GCW show. He showed up on the escalator, and all of us were like, oh, my God, it's Ricky Starks. Is that a Gucci bag in his hand? Man's got class. Man's got style. All right. We saw it firsthand. He was doing some shopping at American Dream, and he always looks good. So get ready for Ricky. We had Ethan Page shirts in NXT. Just get ready for the Ricky shirts coming soon. They're going to be wild. I mean, these red pants were very Rick James.
Little flared as well, aren't they?
I'm
not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
I better not see either of us walking down the street. Oh, hey, what's going on with the flared bell bottoms? Please, no.
It ain't happening.
But these were Ricky James pants here. Red pants. Very nice.
So Ricky comes out. He says, I want to get some things off my chest. For some, NXT is a dream. But for me, it's a reality. Main eventing every NXT PLE is a reality. Becoming NXT champion is a reality. I am the man in NXT, and I'm going to do what I always do. Show up and show out. The revolution begins. And he goes to sign the contract when Ethan Page's music hits, and he comes out and he said, oh, I am impressed. Let me have a look at that contract. Let me guess. It says your first match is for an NXT championship. You're following the Ethan Page rulebook to a T, but there's only one Ethan Page, and it is me. And Ricky says, whoa, you're wearing your insecurity as tight as you've got that jacket on right now. I walk the walk and talk the talk, and I'm going to take this place to another level. Page says he won't be able to reach the bar that he set himself in NXT. And Ricky says, well, this isn't your time, as I am signing right now with the hottest brand in wrestling. And he congratulates Ego for beating Javon last week, but says Javon will eventually come back and whoop your ass. And Page says, look, Javon couldn't even walk out the arena on Saturday when, wouldn't you know it, Javon Evans shows up, attacks Ethan Page, sends him out the ring. They go brawling. So Ricky's left on his own again. He goes, all right, going back to what I was going to do before I was interrupted when Wes Lee's music hits. And Wes says, look, I know you're new around here, so I'll give you a pass. But there are some rules here. A number one rule is you don't disrespect Wes Lee. And he tells Ava that he wants to be the one to show him the ropes around here and be the first match against him. And Ricky says, look, you and Ethan are just two peas from the same pod. And Ricky says, next week, you will be welcomed to the Revolution. And Wes goes to attack Ricky, but Ricky blocks it, sends him out the ring, signs the contract, and we get a close-up of the contract, which reads, Ricky Saints.
Oh, yeah.
Who dat?
Yeah, who? What? Oh, why did they go and change his name? Yeah. So a lot to unpack here. You know, it's very odd that they would do this game where it's like, we're not going to tell you what it is, because I was fine with it. It didn't bother me, but it was painfully awkward listening to Ava dance around, not saying his name, being like, oh yes, hey, welcome. Yeah. Like she was making it very like, we're not saying his name. He came out to the NXT theme song, Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz. He did not have a Titantron. It was just no nameplate, nothing. So they were really hamming it up for the last few days since him showing up that like, ooh, look, what's his name going to be? Is it going to be Trill London? Is it going to be Rocky Stonks? What's it going to be? And now we know, Ricky Saints. So yes, get it. Everyone get it off your chest. Oh, he changed his name, this and that. I usually am like, oh, wow, why would they do that? But like, it's just wrestling, and maybe they wanted to have a name. I know he is from New Orleans, right? He's a NOLA guy, so Saints, it kind of makes sense, and it's not like something absolutely off or like different than really what he was going for. So at the end of the day, I don't really care that it's different, and hey, good for him. I'm just happy he's here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Happy to be here, Ricky. Thank you.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I thought they were kind of doing the teases with us.
Yeah,
he was just going to be Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks.
Especially since we've had like a few coming in recently. You know, Jade Cargill, Sean Spears coming as Sean Spears, not Ty Dillinger. Ethan Page as Ethan Page, all that kind of stuff. I was surprised, maybe because we have a Starks on the roster already, they felt the need to change it. But Ricky Saints, I think, is fine as far as like replacement names go, as you said, there's the New Orleans connection, which I know hearing in interviews and stuff, he's pretty proud from being from there. Yeah. And yeah, I think there's stuff you can play, you know, with the word saint for like finishing moves and stuff like that as well, I guess. And the chat, Carol in the chat saying, genuinely curious if Ricky didn't want to give up his trademark because he owns the name.
Right.
And that's a possibility as well. But at the end of the day, a name's a name. We see them changed all the time in wrestling. I think within a few weeks, we're going to get very used to this. And it could be a lot worse than Ricky Saints.
Yeah. I'm not even like that mad at this one. It's not even that like different. As long as the name's Ricky, Saints, whatever, Stark, Saints, same thing essentially. And like, if we are fantasy booking, if the rumors are true about WrestleMania being in NOLA next year, then Ricky Starks, sorry, see, I'm going to mess it up. I always mess them up anyways. Look who I call people from the wrong names from like the 90s still who are wrestling. Like I'm all over the place with wrestler names. It's confusing, but I still mean the same people. But Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver New Orleans next year, holding up the NXT Championship, is definitely a vision that we can all kind of see. So pretty cool to see him again in NXT. We desperately needed just a shot in the arm of something in NXT. And it seems like they really listened with having the big injection of TNA and all happening simultaneously with Ricky Saints coming into NXT. So it's really like all of a sudden we're like, okay, ramp things up again. Let's not let things get stale like we kind of were. So you already tease Ethan Page and Ricky, which they weren't men of the year, right? They were Team Taz when they were together.
He was Team Taz, yeah.
Right, yeah.
No. Starks and Page were never a thing, I don't think.
Weren't Starks and Page together like in a
Starks has been with Hobbs. And
crazy. They wrestled together. They had a match against each other then, for sure. Like probably multiple. We've definitely talked about
I don't think they were a team though.
Am I crazy? Maybe
There's been a lot of factions. I know, yeah, he was Team Taz with Hobbs.
Right.
And then he was Big Bill. And then Page had the Men of the Year and the American Top Team and Hardy Family Office, which would be reunited next week.
We're going to have to say the words Hardy Party in a few minutes again in a little bit. But yeah, so like teasing the Ethan Page, Ricky Starks thing. Okay. Apparently they were never a team. I'm just insane. So maybe they had a rival, like a feud or something in AEW. I remember them having segments like together. Or maybe I watched.
I think you're just thinking that. I think they're just the same
person. The same person. One's from Hamilton, one's from New Orleans. Pretty much the same place. So okay. Either way, I feel like I've watched these before. Maybe I'm thinking back to like they were on other shows, indie shows together. Like we've definitely seen these two paired up.
They probably had a match at some point.
Yeah, I've definitely seen them paired up somewhere somehow. But it was cool seeing them talk. I think both similar paths with like the like, you know, being a mouthpiece, being from AEW. Like I feel like this is like, oh look, hey, we know each other. We know, you know, AEW Dark, Collision, all that stuff. But then also teasing the stuff with Wes. So like that is pretty cool. It kind of sets up a few things already that I know we will obviously get announced for a tag match next week, but like already being thrown into the mix like right away. As soon as we find out his name.
Wesley as a singles feud is a great start. And Ethan Page, just from the talking, like he's Wes is someone he can have a great match and show how good he is in ring with, and Page is someone he can show how good he's on the mic with. So I think a good choice for first opponents. And I just think right away, like this guy could have gone right to the main roster, but we started the beginning of this show going, the main roster is pretty stacked right now. Like just trying to put this WrestleMania card together and figure out who's going to face who and who's left. NXT needs, like we've been saying this for so long, they need top men in this company. And I think Ricky just fits the mold. He kind of fits the feel of this brand, which is a little younger, a little like, trendier, kind of going more for like the younger demographic of an audience. I think he fits right in from like his look and everything. And right away, just comes across as one of the best talkers in the company immediately. I think there were no signs of like nerves on his first day or anything like that. I thought he sounded great. Really, this company is his for the taking, I think.
It's a big spot for like having not only him coming in here, like we do know he has association with Cody Rhodes. When he does eventually make it to the main roster. There's a program easily we would go into. We'll finally get the Ricky Stark CM Punk program that we continued. It kind of left off and Punk left, and then we got Danielson in the strap match, which was awesome. But like, I think he's capable and can show us just exactly how good he is. Because I really, thought that there was maybe a bigger ceiling for him in AEW. And I had to look it up because I know I am crazy sometimes, but he fought Ethan Page to win the chance to face MJF at Winter is Coming when Ricky had that like title opportunity.
Right.
They had like this mini little thing. So I knew I had seen them wrestle before, but I really already am like thrilled to see him on this show because the last few cycles felt like we were giving all the women a lot of the shine, rightfully so. They've been killing it, but I really feel like the men's roster was lacking something. We were missing like not just something, but like a few things. And already tonight's episode going forward, like has really like brought it back up, brought the heat back on, with this guy being here. I
think as well, like they were able to have some like fun with the contract and the name in NXT because the NXT crowd are a smart crowd. They're the kind of people that watch AEW as well and know what's going on with that sort of stuff. Whereas you could do it at a main roster show and a lot of the crowd are like, I don't know who this guy is because I don't think, obviously you have your smart crowds, your Chicagos, your Phillies, your New Yorks and stuff, but a lot of your crowds think how many things Punk has said in a promo that has just gone over the heads of people because they don't know. So I think I thought it was fun to like play about with the name and stuff in front of this crowd.
And I don't hate this name whatsoever. They could do so much great marketing with the Saints thing, right? The logo, right? With all that. So yeah, I don't know if he'll necessarily be thrown into the stand and deliver main title picture, but like there was that line from Ethan Page, hey, you get a title shot just like I did. So like that is something that we could see down the line. I don't think they just throw Oba versus Ricky though, right? Like I do think that's still reserved.
No, we'll build up to that. Yeah, I think
North American title run or something,
Could do North American or just have those matches with those other top guys who aren't in the title picture right away. We go forwards where Fraxium are being interviewed when the No Quarter Catch crew interrupt. And Fraxium are like, look, boys, we've already faced you once. We've beaten you already. And NQCC say they're not here to challenge them. They're here to challenge the best tag team in the world, Matt and Jeff, the Hardys, next week in Cincinnati. As yes, we are on the road with NXT next week in Cincy.
I love this. They're like, hey Fraxium, we're not done with you. We want a match. Fraxium's like, yeah, we beat you. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, hey, I'd actually run it back because you guys had an incredible match. Meanwhile, no Briggs and Inamura on the show, also coming off the heels of a very hot match from Vengeance Day. But I love this. It was kind of left field, more TNA synergy, crossover, crossing the line, and they call out the Hardys. And then like we go to like commercial break and I scrolling through my Instagram right away, like clockwork, the Hardy Boys had posted a promo, which that they would later play during this show. So that match is official for next week. If anyone's keeping score, that the Hardy Boys versus No Quarter Catch crew. And again, if this roadblock at MSG, which is the Tuesday special in March, could be looking like a whole lot more like a Worlds Collide sort of roadblock, because if it's not at Roadblock, we're definitely getting it at Stand and Deliver. I mean, Fraxium versus the Hardys is something we need to go. I mean, could we just talk about the video anyways? Like,
yeah, we might as well talk about it now. The Hardys post a video with the WWF logo on display right behind them. Look at that.
Fuck yeah, Rebels.
Yeah, with their toy collection behind them. And they say they weren't expecting to hear their names, but we accept the challenge. We're still modifying the craft of pro wrestling. How's that for an axiom? Fraxium, pull up a seat and watch. We're the best team in time and space. It's a Hardy party next week on NXT.
Wow, the Hardys on NXT. We have never seen NXT have either of these guys, right? As long as my knowledge, I don't think we've had Matt Hardy or Jeff Hardy on NXT.
Don't think so.
First time for everything. Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, the Hardy Boys versus No Quarter Catch crew. I love No Quarter Catch crew, especially after that last match with Fraxium. So they've been like someone I've definitely been eyeing. Like, they should continue as a tag team. I'm really loving both Miles and Tavion. So I'm kind of excited for this. Like, you know what? I thought the Hardys kind of sounded good here too, being like pretty on point. I know this was a tape promo and everything, but like they've seemed to be like having fun on this run, and people have been happy in TNA for now. So while we can, let's totally do it. And if this leads to, they mentioned in this video that we want you, Frazier and Axiom, to have a front row seat because we want to face you. So obviously they're going to beat No Quarter Catch Crew, I assume. And then we go to Roadblock to have, so MSG Theater is probably getting Hardy Boyz versus Fraxium. And like, yeah, let's get these things going before we can't. And I'm in on this.
Yeah, I'm very much in the minority. The Hardy Boyz do nothing for me. I can't really say anything that I've liked they've done since they appeared in Orlando at WrestleMania 33. I get people love these guys. For me, they had their time, they had their place. But if you're going to bring in a nostalgia act like the Hardy Boyz, NXT is the place to do it. And sure, like, people are going to love this. People are going to get into it. It's not for me, but yeah, I understand why people like him.
Yeah, like there's still just they could easily be, they do so many conventions and so many indie shows lately, and like they seem to be doing their like real like last hurrah, as we've heard from many times from many wrestlers.
Again, I saw their last hurrah at WrestleMania 33.
Well, they're champions now in TNA, so I'm pretty cool. Like these guys have fooled me once, a few too many times as a fan, but I'm still for it. If we can do it and it puts on a pretty decent match, which I think Fraxium will be able to get out of them. You know what? Their last encounter that was like okay was the Bucks, and it wasn't really anything that was like, stellar or match of the year quality. So they're definitely past it, but at the same time, like for a nostalgia, I do have a soft spot for the Hardy Boyz. So I'll be juking. They're in Ohio next week, right? Cincinnati, Ohio next week. So get ready. Throw your jukes up. Is that right? Am I saying with a J or with a D?
I think it's a D, right?
I think he's always says jukes though, like juking. I'm like, all right. Either way, I'm doing it. So get ready.
We see Ricky Saints walking backstage.
We're gonna have a jar. Every time one of us says it, you put $1 in the jar.
I think I'll win that one.
Yeah, I'll mess that up bad.
You still think Kevin Steen, like 12 years after he signs with the company. We see a bunch of people backstage have been taken out. Hank and Tank. We see Briggs and Inamura, and just all of these people being attacked by, we assume, the mystery attackers. And Saints just says, damn, this place is crazy. And Vic just makes a joke about, well, you better not take him to the NXT parking
lot. Right. Yeah.
We go to our next match. It's Channing Stacks Lorenzo taking on Shawn Spears. And we start things off with just Stacks attacking Spears. He's all on top of him. There's a slingshot spear from Stacks, and then Spears gets back into it with a DDT. Now Spears is in control, and we see on the outside, he's out there with Brooks Jensen, Izzy Dame, Nico Vance, and there are these other dudes as well. And we're messaging each other like, who are these guys? And then we see it's security. Now, I don't know if this was sort of added security that Spears has, or the fact that we've seen all these people attacked, whether it's security hired to protect from this new faction. Or I'm like, am I why? There's not always some dude standing there with a chain. I was like, what is this? It looked like Terrorizing there, young Triple H. I was like, who is this guy? Why is this like country singer looking dude over? Is that Cale Dixon? And it realized, no, he's a security guard. And there was a few of them around. So I'm assuming maybe this was because they were getting involved to stop Izzy Dame and Rizzo from like attacking each other. So maybe that's why. But then like they were there later on. So I assume just because we had everyone beaten up that, Ava, the final boss, getting that security in check for sure. Stacks comes back with a code breaker, and he has wrist control for a bit as he's delivering some punches and a Gamengiri, and then a Tony D'Angelo-esque spine buster. He follows up with a missile drop kick, but as he lands, he kind of bangs his head against the mat, which allows Spears to take over. He delivers, and we haven't called this for a while, the sushi goroshi.
Ooh,
The suplex lift into the ushigoroshi across the knee. This actually looked really good. This was like Stacks just landing on the dome of his head on the knee.
Yeah.
And then Spears follows up with the C4, the Death Valley driver, for the win.
Now, you know what I've been saying about Shawn Spears lately, but then the chairman hits a sushi goroshi and totally redeems himself. You know,
this was his old finisher, wasn't it? Before AJ joined the company, I believe
his finisher was the ushigoroshi. The ushigoroshi,
right,
for those keeping score, is the fireman's carry into like the neck breaker over the knee. It means bull killer in Japanese. Shout out IWGP World Heavyweight Champion
Goto.
Hell yeah. So that's the ushigoroshi, but I believe we would see certain wrestlers, especially Adam Cole, who would do this, where you lift them up for the suplex and then you hit that move. Kenny does a similar move as well. So we donned it the sushi goroshi, which I know we go by upNXT, but we go by Poisonrana. But don't tell anyone. The sushi goroshi is still my favorite wrestling move. This looks like he killed him here. The match was over as far as I'm concerned. You wrestlers, you hit an ushigoroshi or a sushi goroshi, you're instantly back on my top 5 list. So yeah, Shawn Spears should be probably world champ, stand and deliver. I think maybe.
Hey, as it is, I wait when people go, oh, what's your podcast name? And I go, Poisonrana. First thing, they'll always repeat it back going, Poison Rama? No, Poisonrana. Ooh, what's that? Imagine if we called it Sushi Goroshi. Like,
Sushi Goroshi.
Like, yeah.
The Ushi Goroshi. Yeah, 2 white guys calling it that.
You know what? I kind of felt on one hand, I don't like the position Spears is in. I don't think he should be the one challenging Tony D for this title. I do understand why he's in NXT as this kind of player coach. And I thought this match actually outlines why he should be there, because I thought this was pretty good. And I thought gave Stacks a lot. And it reminded me that Spears is a good wrestler. Like a lot of the stuff he hit in this match looked really nice. And Stacks is one of the best sellers in NXT. I think the way he bumps around is great. And the way he took some of those moves in the final stretch looked great. So I actually kind of got into this, but then I still have like the stink of just Shawn Spears being involved in any kind of story kind of puts me off as well. But isolated, and maybe that's unfair, but isolated, I thought these two had a pretty good match.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I watched this and then like it got good that I was like, like, look, Shawn Spears, he's always been good. It's just like, we're kind of like, we've gone past it. He's come back to NXT. It's like, wouldn't you just go on the main roster at this point? I don't know if you're like the learning chair, as we call it, like is most like the best way to help get some other people over. I'm not quite sure, but then he wrestles and he helped, have a good match with Stacks. Like he helped, he beat Stacks, but I think they put on something pretty good here. So yeah, like I know what you mean. Like it's this like stink that like, hey, we've seen you as the 10 guy, we've seen you elsewhere. It's like your character not really has evolved to anything, yet you're here in NXT and you're like supposed to be the leader of like the younger talent. But then at the end of the day, he had a pretty solid match and he hit the sushi goroshi. So maybe this will work out. I can't say I'm still excited for Tony D and him. Like, will he take this title from him? Shouldn't it be him helping his younger guys? Like, I'm not too sure, but at the same time, like they've looked okay. We love our boy Brooks Jensen, so like I'm waiting to see where it can go. Like, let's let it play out a little bit.
We see Lexis King backstage, who approaches Moose. He says, I keep hearing about the system. Trust the system. Well, I'm fed up of you TNA guys coming here and challenging for our titles. I don't see you putting the X Division title on the line. And Moose says, yeah, okay, I'll put the X Division title on the line next week in Cincinnati. So we have that match booked for next week in Lexis King's hometown of Cincinnati. It's Lexis King versus Moose for the X Division title.
Yes. Lexis says that he is undefeated in his hometown. So get rid. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that is correct. I'm pretty sure it's not. I think MJF beat him at Grand Slam, which was New York. So
okay. Oh, he had the promo segment in
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Metheny, all that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So next week, this NXT is crazy, guys. Look, Ricky Starks is in NXT. We got the Hardys are going to wrestle next week, and also the X Division Championship is going to be on the line. What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. That wasn't on anyone's bingo card, but we're getting it, and that's pretty cool. Shout out the X Division Championship. It's got some history in TNA. I might not watch a lot of TNA now, but I used to. I know what that title represents. I think that's pretty cool. I think Lexus should take it. The Lex Division Championship coming soon to NXT. Why not? Book it. That's not happening, but like
it's not necessarily the match I'd want for Moose. I mean, I doubt we're gonna have a lot of matches for Moose while he's in NXT.
Yeah,
but I think Fraser or Axiom would have been a great challenger for this I know they're tag champions and all that, but you've always got that story of them challenging for other stuff and kind of stretching themselves too thin. I just think both of those guys really fit the mold of the X Division title, and stylistically, I think would have a really good match with Moose. Lexus, he can be very hit and miss. I don't really see it playing into either of their strengths, but we'll see next week.
He mentioned that he knows his buddy well, so I'm assuming Moose is in the same. Is that the system? Are they all in together with Fandango and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So that we're just one step closer to Eddie Edwards, Lexus King, which means one step closer to Alicia Edwards.
I'm getting a cold in a few weeks. I think I might be take a week off. This, you know what? This is pretty cool that we're like doing this crossover. I don't necessarily think this was the match that came to mind, but I would have Moose kill him to like assert that this guy is a monster, so that we can further promote Femi versus Moose. So we need a good showing from Moose. Like he needs to destroy this guy to prove that he can fight Femi to maybe some people who aren't familiar with what Moose is capable of. So I'm okay with that. I don't expect Lexus King to take the title from him. So and then Lexus King cashes in with option C and becomes TNA champion. Look at that.
Cashes in with the Heritage Cup.
That must cash in for something, right?
Yeah. The
world title, I don't know what that would equal to in TNA, but the Legends title.
Well, we said Cena needs a match, didn't we? For
Joe Hendry, that's the one Joe Hendry's been gunning for, is John Cena. Yeah.
So we see Mr. Chase backstage when Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors approaches him, and Chase is like, "Look, I don't want you fighting your battles for me." And they go, "Yeah, well, did you hear what Eddie Thorpe said about you?" He's like, "That no good son of a bitch." And the boys are then happy because it looks like they've seen the old Andre Chase breaking through. And Chase just says, "No, Chase U is dead." Oh. And then he goes out to the ring, and we have our next match, Eddie Thorpe versus Andre Chase. Chase is delivering like a Rana, a dive to the floor. Thorpe gets back into it with a back elbow, and this is where Uriah and Cale show up in Chase U shirts, where we used to see the Chase U section, and they're getting everyone in the crowd to chant for Mr. Chase. So Andre gets back into it. He hits a side effect for a 2 count, and then a side Russian leg sweep, and then he goes to get everyone to give him a C, but he gets all upset. He's like, "No! Legally, I can't spell out my university's name anymore." And this allows Eddie Thorpe to take advantage with the chop block and then a German suplex followed by the Impaler DDT. And Eddie Thorpe continues this win streak by defeating Mr. Chase.
Yeah, man, he just has like PTSD of that university that may or may not have been actually real, but like him being like, no, I can't do that. It was a bit much. He like, for anyone who ever hated how Andre Chase looked in that red Chase U sweater, don't you just love watching him wrestle in like a untucked white dirty looking
like dress school shirt, yeah,
and then he takes it off to reveal like a black like tank top underneath. So far, not the best in-ring gear I've seen in 2025, but it's deliberate because he's like all run down and sad. But this wasn't that much of a match. Even the Impaler didn't look too good. Like, I'm all for trying and pushing new guys, but the guys they've been pushing is Ridge Holland and Eddie Thorpe, and they don't do a whole lot for me when it comes to the actual wrestling. So I'm not necessarily interested or excited to see where this leads for Eddy. We do see where it kind of goes afterwards here, though, with the video from Trick.
Yeah, I didn't think too much of the match. I don't like the just in general the overly dramatic that we see it a lot in wrestling. Like as much as I love Ospreay, I can't hit the Tiger Driver, and it's so cheesy to me. And then losing the match because you're so distracted by your trauma. It's a bit much. But I agree. Like Eddy's just not doing it for me at all. After the match, Trick Williams appears on the screen and says, "It's not over until I say it's over. And if it's going down, I'm dragging you under with me." And I think those words were picked very carefully. I assume we're going to an NXT Underground match with these two.
Even the way he was like staring at him, you just read like, we're going somewhere else. We're going under to the underground. So NXT Underground, I'm assuming, is a match we get in the near future, whether that be something that is announced next week for Cincinnati. I don't think they would do it without announcing it. So possibly the Roadblock as well. So Eddy, we've seen him win 2 of these matches, or I forget now. We've seen him
He beat Dijak and who else did he have?
Yeah, we've seen a few with Lola Vice. That it's kind of become her signature match as well. So yeah, this is a good spot. Like Trick should get his W back going up against Eddy one more time, and therefore like he should win the Underground. And whether he's probably not covered in blood, but like whether he's walking out of the big win, he should then call out Femi for Stand and Deliver.
Dijak and Damon Kemp in NXT Underground. Yeah. Damon Kemp, remember that guy? Yeah.
Oh, man. I bet he
transformed into Tavion Heights. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, Tavion Heights. I mean, is pretty good too. They just swapped out wrestlers, and like Tavion was like, "Yeah, I can do a German suplex too."
Yeah,
and Tavion's got some gray hair too. Actually, his hair is pretty good. So, yeah.
We see Ricky Saints talking with Ava, and he goes, "I just don't know how you deal with all this chaos here." And this is where Ethan Page walks in and says that he wants a match with Javon. Wes then comes in and gets in Ricky's face. And then Javon shows up to get in Ethan's face. And it's set up for next week. Javon Evans and Ricky Starks team up to take on Ethan Page and Wes Lee in a tag match.
Sorry, what did you call him?
What did I call him? Drop a dollar. Yeah,
gotcha. Ricky Saints. That's great. Already throwing him into the mix, and that's an awesome match. Like he gets to have Javon Evans continuing the feud with Ethan Page, and kind of starting this multi kind of feud that we could go with Wes and Ethan with Ricky here. So I'm all for it. Actually, that sounds like it's a pretty good. That's a pretty good main event. I would assume that's the main event for next week.
Yeah, I'd have thought so too. It's Ricky's debut match, so it should be. This is when we then got the Hardy Boyz video, which we've talked about, and just reiterating next week, it's Karmen Petrovic versus Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Women's North American title, the Hardy Boyz versus the NQCC, Moose versus Lexis King for the X Division Championship, and Javon Evans and Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page and Wes Lee.
It's going to be a Hardy party. Do you think Jeff's going to perform live?
Well, I'm more interested if Ethan Page is going to come out to help him.
True. Hey,
he's been doing the Twist of Fate, and so still callbacks to those days in the Hardy family office.
I'm trying to think. Is there any? Too bad. What's his name? Trevor Lee. Cameron Grimes. Oh man, too bad he's gone, because him and the Hardys like in NXT, that would be something special. They missed that, because that would have been good. But I'm excited. This sounds like a pretty fun show for Cincinnati. Like you're getting a little bit of everything. You're getting the debut of Ricky. You're getting the Hardy Boyz in NXT versus No Quarter Catch Crew. That genuinely could be like a really good tag match, as well as that main event. Actually, that sounds pretty good. Plus Karmen versus Stephanie, like that has a chance to be pretty impressive as well. So I'm liking already the change of how we were moving at what seems like a snail's pace for the last few cycles, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, look, we're changing things up. So I like moving with the time. Good job, Shawn.
And we go to our main event of the evening. It's Giulia, Stephanie Vaquer, and Jordynne Grace taking on Fatal Influence. And we get to it. And there's beautiful Northern Light suplexes from Giulia to Nyx. Grace comes in and catches Nyx in a reverse Alabama slam, just dumping her on her face. I found it funny. Jasmine Nyx the last few weeks has not been wrestling, but has been wearing the face protector.
Yeah.
And then she's coming out this week, and I guess her face is healed. But Jordynne trying her best to break the face with that Alabama slam. All six start brawling in the ring. Grace hits a tope suicida, taking out all of Fatal Influence on the outside. And then Stephanie comes in and does her head stomp to JC. Goes for the 619, but as Nyx is distracting the referee on the other side, Fallon, who's on the floor, catches Stephanie from doing the 619, allowing JC to take advantage with a stiff kick to the head. After the break, we see Fatal Influencer in control. Grace gets tagged in and is delivering body slams to everyone. Then a double Northern Light suplex to Jasmine and JC. Grace then hits a muscle buster clothesline combo, which just looked awesome. And it's a move we really don't see that much in WWE. Looked very good. JC Jane comes in with a jumping knee. We get Nyx with the Nyx kick, her overhead kick. Goes for the pin to Grace, but Stephanie and Giulia shove Fallon and JC on top of them, breaking it up. Jordynne Grace then comes in, cleans house, and hits the Juggernaut driver on Nyx for the pin. And your baby faces stand tall, and as Grace and as Stephanie and Giulia are holding up their titles, we've got Jordynne Grace in the middle, looking at both of them, being like, I want one of them. I want one of those titles. But,
interesting.
What do you think of the match?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. This was like showcase, I think, for Jordynne Grace. I know we've seen her a few times in NXT and WWE, just a little bit sprinkled through, but now she's ours. Now she's NXT, WWE, and seeing her just rock house here, like that tope, like she's a powerhouse, and yet she's doing these kinds of moves. The muscle buster combo, like you said, was crazy. I thought she definitely stood out. And like the final image of those three was like, yeah, we're in good hands. Like any of these three iterations, whether it's Stephanie versus Giulia at standard, whether it's a triple threat between these three, like any of these three options, we're looking at like quite possibly the future of, WWE's women's division. If all things go aside, like these three could be something to wreck with. So I know we've had our 4 horsewomen in the past here, but eventually we're going to have a fancy name to call these three, because they are definitely something that like stands out, and they weren't just positioned that way at the end of the show without reason. So definitely looking forward to seeing, again, any versions of these three, because they were good. But you know what? Fatal Influence always step up. They've been stepping up. Even Jasmine Nyx, who's the newest one of this thing, like she adds a lot, being the sidekick or the lackey who usually ends up taking the pin. But you know what? She's been good at being thrown around by all of these powerhouses here, with Stephanie just destroying her. And of course, Booker T losing his mind to the Vaquer thing. They must like go over this now. They know how popular this has become, that face smash, because this one went on forever. It sounded like
it's now become a thing where the crowd are counting along with it, like Sheamus's beats of the Bower and that kind of thing.
He's like screaming, and the camera, you can see him in the background. Like Vic is just like letting him do his thing. He's like not getting too close there, but oh my God, he like I thought this was a pretty fun main event, and basically again being like, hey, look at our star cast right now, and I think we're gonna be in good hands with whatever these three women decide to do.
I agree. Obviously, these three are incredible, but like Fallon and JC are your real like veterans of the division now, and I like that they're in this mix with these as well.
Yeah,
I'd like to see, I know we had JC and Vaquer on TV, but I'd like to see Giulia and Fallon as a match down the line as well.
I think so.
If this feud is continuing with the 6 of them. And Jasmine has really stepped up. She's looking good, and she's great at being, I said the same about Stax earlier, but she's just great at being thrown around and destroyed by everyone. I thought a pretty fun main event, and definitely, I mean, again, very women heavy show this week, but all delivered. This division is there's a lot of hyperbole in WWE, but when they say this is the best women's roster in, like, I mean, I'd say certainly in North America at this point, it's the best women's roster you got going, and they deliver on that every week, I think.
Yeah, no, the women all delivered on the matches tonight. Definitely, like from the first few, there was the opener and then the second match as well. Like there's quite a few. It was very, very, like they've been pushing the women, and again, like rightfully so. Like the talent is shining, and the like the projects of people who at one point, you know, needed a lot of work are like now shining, like our Karmens and Kelanis and like we said, Fatal Influence as well. Like they've become a pretty good act. Like completely, we say this every week, but like completely passing and surpassing whatever Toxic Attraction was. Like in my opinion, we just had that title like taken aboard, like the Death Rider situation. Like we just Mandy Rose is like it was not a good time for that. It was like it wasn't, and now it's like we're being rewarded for having to go through all that for those who were watching around that time.
And I mean, think of the women like not on TV at the moment who aren't being featured as much, like a Lola Vice, who's great. Thea Hale, since the Chase U story ended, I'm hoping she somehow comes back with the Chase story going on, but we haven't seen her for a long time, and she's a great prospect. Like their roster's deep, and then you've got things like LFG when more people are coming in, and but that's not it. After that, we see backstage that there has been more chaos, more people being destroyed as Ava goes into her office and Robert Stone is dead as the lights are flickering. And it was very like the Wyatt Six attack that ended Raw, like the flickering lights and just bodies sprawled everywhere. But is this the end of Mr. Stone? As Ava's going, Stone!
I don't want to say it. I'm knocking on wood. Yeah. I'm knocking on wood because I'm not an asshole. But like, Mr. Stone.
Was Stevie dead as well?
Stevie was safe. Stevie's safe.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
She was on Twitch somewhere maybe. But Stone, I'm a little worried. I hope his kids weren't watching.
Right? Eating
their brownies.
Pasta with those silly little sausages that his wife makes.
Their ponytails.
Their ponytails.
So these guys are running a rough shot. We don't know their name yet. We don't really know much. We talked about who I think the members are, in fact, but they haven't said anything except what did they spray paint on the wall here? Was it Poopy? What did they write? What did they say? John Cena's done that before, right? He's spray painted Poopy on.
I don't think they wrote Poopy, did they?
No, it'd be good.
It was something like it's
Free Luigi.
It was something like things are gonna change. Or
no one is safe. No, I went to a bar the other night at karaoke and someone had spray painted Free Luigi in the bathroom stall, and I was like,
right,
interesting. No one is safe. So maybe that's like their catchphrase. No one is safe.
No one is safe.
What's their name though? We don't know. We don't know who. What's their deal? What's their problem, man? Maybe Ricky Saints is right. This place is crazy. Something wrong with this place.
Yeah. Like I wonder if, because I felt overall, I thought this was a great episode of NXT. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
It kind of reminded me. Remember those chaotic episodes of Dynamite we had, where you just have, a random debut, like Jeff Jarrett would show up and then Rick Ross and then Snoop Dogg would come out and do something, and then you'd have a
good old days
Wild Bucks match, and it would just be like just go and so much happening. It kind of reminded me of this with the kind of TNA integration, like some great women's matches on the show, Ricky Saints being a big feature of it. I thought it was a really enjoyable show. The only thing is I didn't think they followed up well from this mystery angle from Saturday. I thought this part of the show, it just felt a bit by numbers. Watching everyone like pretending to be hurt backstage where like didn't really look too bad. And I thought that was the weakest part. The one thing I am wondering is the fact that it happened a couple of times with Ricky kind of looking and commenting on it, whether this ends up being Ricky's group and Ricky is actually like the leader of these guys and they can be his heavies. Because I think in general, like Ricky works better as a heel. And it's something you could maybe get to, especially if we end up going Ricky and Femi, and it definitely evens the odds a bit against someone as big as Femi. However, on the other hand, which we've talked about many, many times, we don't have any baby faces at the top of this division. But I wonder if we will have some sort of leader in this group, or whether it is just these four. But I thought it was a bit of a weak follow-up to that angle. But everything else I really enjoyed on tonight's show.
Yeah, as you could hear, like, we definitely were pretty positive. There was some good stuff. I mean, you had, like, Moose isn't necessarily a needle mover for me, but for a few-week program with, you know, a big meat match with Femi and Moose is something that, like, yeah, we should do while we can. Why not with this crossover? Having the introduction of the Hardy Boyz, messing around with the tag division. Yeah, they're not going to beat Fraxium. They're not going to be the team to do that, but let's have some fun while we can with that. I'm definitely looking forward to I need to see Jeff show up with the juke while someone's beat down again. So we'll eventually get that spot recreated, I hope. I like all the women being featured. I don't even hate to say it. No shame. I like the Soul Crushers, and I'm going with that. I think they've been pretty fun. They need a reason to fight, so maybe some addition of the tag titles would be helpful. But I thought the women delivered in the ring, and then the stuff with Ricky and kind of pointing some different directions of like, hey, we could spiral off with Ethan Page. That Javon Evans feud is going to continue. I imagine they get a rematch of some sort of unsanctioned kind of thing. Like, I do feel like there's a few things firing off when, again, weeks and weeks ago, it was so boring and like there wasn't anything. So my only gripe was I didn't feel like they fully like discussed or brought up that attack from the group and everything. And like you said, seeing people laid out is so like, we're kind of over that. Like, I'm definitely over it. I didn't like the Wyatt Six stuff when they did that. And I didn't like it here with Ava's just like, oh, Stone it was pretty brutal, which was just a weird like ending to a show that I actually really enjoyed. So dare I say, I liked tonight's episode, but this group should get away from like what was with the light flickering stuff. Like, don't be spooky, just be taking over, and no one is safe, I guess.
No one is safe.
Not even you.
Me?
Yeah, you're not safe, man.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Anyways, so there you go. That was our thoughts on NXT, and we hope you enjoyed. I see no one wrote in for feedback tonight, so we're not going to read any.
All right.
Well, that's no one is safe. Yeah, no one is safe. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We do this every Tuesday night. We will be back next Tuesday here, 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Post Wrestling YouTube Live. We will be talking about NXT in Cincinnati, Ohio, featuring the Hardys, Moose, and all the other stuff that we've talked about. So check us out on there. We will be live this Sunday, 1 or 2 p.m. Follow the socials for update on that. Over on our Poisonrana YouTube, as we'll be chatting all about some AEW Dynamite, Collision, and anything else going on like SmackDown, etc. And Poisonrana.ca for links for everything, including details on the lock-in March 1st in Toronto. It's free. Come hang out, sing some wrestling songs, and get loaded up before we go watch Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens try to kill each other inside the Rogers Center. Very excited about that. And all our shows, patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5 to become a patron for the SNL show, Champ is Here, episode 6, and The Godfather, part 2. Very excited. Lots of podcasts. We can't do it without you guys, our postmarks, our NXT friends, and our pals out there. So really appreciate the love out there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, so
catch you all on Sunday.
Absolutely. At Poisonrana Pod. I am at the Bray D.
And I am at Davie Portman.
That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And no one is safe.
No one. Absolutely no one. Ahoy!